I'm very pleased to be interviewing Gregory Antzt, who is the CEO of General Sentiment. Thank you so much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
So, Gregory, tell me a little bit about your background. How did you get to where you are today?
Sure. Well, I started out in high school, I guess, really enjoying computer science and math, so that's what I wanted to study at Cornell University. And always had a passion for technology and thought I was good at math until I went to Cornell and I realized how difficult it could get. But, my passions were in technology and also in finance, and going to school in New York kind of led me down that finance path for a while, even though I was really excited about what was going on the West Coast. I was also passionate about finance, so I ended up going into the financial markets for about 5 years after I graduated. Well, actually, first there was a stint in where I played tennis. So that was my third passion was sports. So I played tennis for some time. But I went into finance, and I worked as a trader really for Citigroup for a few years, and then as a hedge fund. And it always started out as I was building systems because of my computer science background and my developer background. So I started out building systems and ultimately led to become a trader for Citigroup, and then the same thing at a hedge fund that we helped launch a few years later. And then it was about 2007, and actually late 2006, early 2007, when I decided I'd had a nice 5 years in the financial markets, some great experiences, but I really wanted to pursue the passion I had for technology and building a technology company from the ground up. And it was a good time to do that, I felt. And so I started my first technology company with a friend from Cornell, and it was in India, so it was a technology incubator there, and it was an amazing time in India. So we did some very cool things, but then I started to have a family, which brought me back to New York and led me to think about what was the next big thing. And so I came across the idea for General Sentiment in kind of a parallel way to the way my partner did. We met, Mark Fasciano and I, from slightly different angles. We both kind of were realizing the growth in user-generated content and in social media as well. So it started out with blogging, before, but social networks were starting to grow a little bit pre-Twitter, but Facebook was starting to grow. And we believed that this was going to continue to grow to the point that the amount of opinion available in the world in real time would be so massive and so valuable that it would really disrupt what was happening in the market research space, which has been more traditional and hasn't really changed very much over the last several decades. So basically I came across pursuing a technology that could fulfill this vision of bringing that intelligence to businesses so they could use it, make it actionable. And Mark came across it from a slightly different angle. He had started a company called FatWire, and we converged upon Stony Brook University, where this technology had been invented. We joined forces and believed that was the start of a great vision to bring media measurement, really social intelligence, into the forefront of businesses and change the way companies make decisions, marketing decisions, PR decisions, using this information from social media.
You mentioned that you worked for a hedge fund writing systems. Did you find that provided you with a basis of knowledge or a framework for creating a system for media?
Somewhat, I would say. There are some parallels to it. Finding patterns, dealing in large data sets and trying to find patterns that can be useful. Essentially what hedge funds are trying to do really is predict the future, right? Trying to direct what's going to happen in the financial markets, and it's not that dissimilar from what we're doing at General Sentiment. Companies want our data because they believe that's going to be predictive of what's going to happen next. Even in the TV space, measuring what millions of people are saying in real time is a pretty good predictor of what's going to happen in next week's ratings. The problems with the ratings put aside, General Sentiment data can be very predictive of that, and it can also be predictive of sales. It can be predictive of what marketing campaigns are going to be effective. So dealing in big data, which is what we do and what we did at the hedge fund I worked at, there are parallels there. Actually, with General Sentiment, because it's this data and because we're very good at aggregating large amounts of signals into singular signals, we do have some partnerships. One in particular is a spin-off of our company called Sentiment Alpha, which is aiming to start a hedge fund using our data. I can't talk about the strategy specifically, but it's very exciting, and we found that our data goes back. We have news media data in our system through 2004, and our social flood really started in the beginning of 2009. And so we use backtesting of various models to see how can we predict it, what are we most predictive of, which sectors does it actually work in, are there macro signals. This wouldn't be the first fund to be started based on based on social media data. There's a well um, covered Twitter fund out there that's gotten some coverage over the last year, and we're doing some very cool things that are a little bit different.